Hey everybody, Asher here, and today we are taking a look, starting our journey in Book of Demons, Return to Game's early access game that is currently available on Steam. I have a lot to say about it. I have been playing it for a bit, and I thought it'd be interesting to do a series on it. Something I kind of haven't done in a little while, and I've gotten away from a little bit, which is just finding some games that might be out there that pique people's interest but are not necessarily totally on the radar. So I want to get back to that a little bit. Now, Book of Demons, like I said, is early access, so there is a lot of things that could potentially change by the time you're watching this, but the goal of this series is to give you all a little bit of a look and to try and see what you think about it. Now, just one disclosure ahead of time is that this is not promotional or anything. I bought the copy myself. I haven't had any contact with the developer, so all of these thoughts are my own and not influenced from anything on the outside other than my experiences with a certain other game that is very similar to Book of Demons, which we shall get to right now. Book of Demons, left click to start. Return to Games is very ambitious. They have 7 games that are planning to do, and we're right now on early access number 1. Good luck to them.
Ah, the Book of Demons. A truly grim story in our collection. Not for the faint of heart. A wandering hero returns home, only to find everything different than remembered. A horrendous evil rose from the depths of hell, devoured the brave and poisoned the living with despair.
Sound familiar?
For in the depths of a place once holy, a dark ritual is concluded.
Sound familiar?
Ah, the ultimate evil has awoken. Adventure. Darkness. Horrors. All of these await below. Good luck.
So that is the introduction to Book of Demons. If it sounds a lot like the Diablo series, you're going to see that there are a lot of references, callbacks to it. I would almost say that this is a Papercraft style Diablo I remake, reimagined. There's some card collecting that's involved in it, but in a lot of ways it is just a lot like Diablo I. So my view of that is going to kind of be colored by my previous experiences of playing it. Now, there are 3 classes that are available. There is the Rogue, there is the Mage, once again not unlike a certain other game made by Blizzard once upon a time, but we only have the Warrior that's unlocked because this is just early access. So early access disclaimer, things can change, and we're just going to randomize our name here. Kadal works. Now, playing as a warrior, this is very much a melee class, but it doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means. When we get into the gameplay, you'll see why. But a mighty adventurer believes in brute power of steel. He is proficient in all kinds of weapons and armors, and you can sometimes spot a little madness in his eyes when he's charging a large group of monsters. So, Shadow Sword, Mighty Blow, Poison Bomb, those are all different abilities that we'll talk about and be able to see. But Kadal, let's go ahead and send you into here. We're going to be going into kind of the story. There's voice acting throughout this and everything. And we're going to dive into sort of the early gameplay here in this video. So here is the town not named Tristram. And our first conversation is with...
Is that really you?
Someone else.
I'm so happy to see you after all this time. It seems like it's been ages since you left our town. I just wish we weren't meeting under such dire circumstances. Back then, it was peaceful. But now... the town is disturbed by a demonic presence that's spreading throughout the land. Most of our friends are gone. Some people fled. Some took their own lives. Some have just vanished. Those who stayed have lost their minds or are too frightened to leave their houses. I'm doing my best to keep everyone's spirits up. But the truth is, we won't survive for long without help. Just don't tell anybody I said that. You must have lots of questions, but I don't have many answers. Talk to the sage if you want to know more. He might be able to help you.
So we're not going to go through all of the dialogue options for everybody, because we'll be sitting here for a while. But right now we are going to go through just the initial town introductions here. The barmaid does have some pretty important things to get in the game later on, the magic cauldron, which is very relevant for when you're exploring dungeons and leveling up, and the golden key, which comes into play later on. Like I said, I have played through this game. Some I haven't beaten all the way through straight playthrough, but I want to get into that in just a moment. So we have another person in town to meet, which is a possibly familiar fellow.
Your arrival brings hope to my old heart. There's no better way to forge one's skill than by traveling. I should know. But I beg you not to leave. We need you here. Dark things lurk in the depths beneath the old cathedral. I've seen plenty of evils in my travels, but this makes my journey through the Dragon Wastes look like a walk in the park. Everything started with the disappearance of our bishop. I fear he has been dragged into the catacombs deep below the church. I do not know what caused such desecration of that holy place. That enigma is yet to be solved. And you are the only one who can do it. Just remember to be careful. Few who have ventured into the dark made their way back. And those who did were no longer alive.
Thanks, not Deckard Cain. But there we go. Obviously, like other sages and things like that, we can unlock little slots here for abilities and identify cards. So that's pretty much it. We have this chapel calling us, which, like I said, the aesthetic's interesting. I like the Papercraft and the way they use it. It manifests itself all right in the game. So I guess if there's a thing about this game, like if you compare it to Diablo takes itself very seriously. This game, it doesn't nearly take itself as much very seriously, which is kind of refreshing. So hopefully that plays through as we continue to go through. But I want to go ahead and go into the dungeon and start. I will say I have kept the tutorials on. Like I said, some of you are watching this video probably wondering about Book of Demons, so I want to give you sort of a greater idea. But let's go into the gameplay, because there's some interesting things in terms of selecting dungeons. So, there are different floors here. We have the cook on one floor. We have the anti-pope on another floor. Once again, all these sound very familiar. And then all the way at the very bottom, we have somebody with a paper rubber ducky bathing in flames. But what we get to do is we are going to be progressively going down further. Now, we can't do too much just yet, because we have to defeat these first areas. So hopefully that will give us some insight into everything else. But if we, like I said, there's a bunch of floors we have to go through. Once we get through all of these floors, then it opens up kind of an elective mode where you can do dungeon crawling at your own leisure. But we have to make it through all these first, so let's start. So some things to note here.
I am the sword that splits darkness.
Now, the warrior here, he reminds me of a protagonist from the Evil Dead to a point. He sounds very crazy and serious all the time, but a few things to note right away is that you walk around by clicking. And there is one thing that bothers me a little bit about this game that I want to say right now, and you hear me say again. It says click everywhere to move, but obviously, or click anywhere to move, that's obviously not works. This is a game that is on tracks, on rails. Now, some of the later levels, that's going to become a bit of an issue. You can interact with objects in your light radius like this, which once again, clicking on them, you can mouse over stuff, which is nice. You mouse over things to click to attack, which is pretty good. And anytime you finish exploring an area, you'll get golden footprints, which is also pretty nice. But, like I said, if there is one thing that we're going to need to, that I definitely want you to pay attention and watch if you are considering this game, it's how does the gameplay feel when we are kind of stuck on a rail. And that's boss fights, that's anything. I haven't seen any floor yet where things open up, but we have, you can hold your mouse over to auto attack, you can click and hold to attack faster, you can also retreat like this, but we don't need to do that yet. So each floor has some kind of treasure, some way, shape, or form. And you can see that we can attack from a certain range, and I'm having to kind of scale back my strategies because I do have a lot of items on the warrior that I have in another save. But we also have treasure. Points of interest can be revealed when you're looking near, like this treasure chest, which we get lots of different little things, including our first card, which is a healing potion, which we can equip. Unfortunately, the hotkey for me for this cards does not currently function, so I have to click on it to get there. But healing potion, it has one charge, it heals you up all the way. You can see, like other Diablo or other style ARPG games, your health, your mana bar. Our mana's not very high right now, but we do have a little bit of money. We do have a health pool there, and let's see here. Hearts, if you lose them, you die. and we can get stuff from the healer to make that all better. Like I said, this is a fairly basic floor with basic monsters, so it shouldn't take too long. We get little achievements for each thing in this profile. We got our first level up. Yay. Each time you level up, all monsters lose 1 heart, so they all get damage for that. Every level gives you 1 point, which can be used to boost your hearts or your mana. So the first thing we need to do here, as warrior, which I don't know how the other classes play because they don't exist here, we can pick one of these. I'm going to be picking hearts first, and the other one goes into the magic cauldron. You can talk to the barmaid about this, and pretty much you can collect those stats to put on your character later, is the short way to put it, although I'm sure someone will have a correction in the comments as well, because there's other things that you can win in dungeons that will get you.
I can see that the sanctity of this place has been fouled.
Thank you. Very, very serious warrior. But you'll get a little notification that the level is clear once you pick up everything on there. You have golden footprints everywhere. So there's some good indicators, even if you are on rails. I said, I can understand the choice to a point, because it helps with designing the Papercraft sort of universe here, but you start to get things like this, where you have enemies that are poison exploding and everything. It may not be so bad here, because they can run around not on the tracks. There's going to be some things later on where you really wish you could get out of the way. Alright, so we already found our exit, and good old Diablo fashion, I find the exit first and then travel around everywhere else later. There's good old exploding barrels. And let's see what this is. A mana pit. And you'll see that upped it permanently, so that's another thing you can find from shrines. This first level is, I believe, pretty static, but the later ones are definitely randomly generated, so that's a good thing to consider. But we don't need to go that way yet, we can just go down here. Like Diablo 1, there is no run option, you just go at 1 speed. I love hearing people say, like, well, you can run in Diablo 2. It's like, yeah, but you're walking in Diablo 1 is as fast as your run speed in Diablo 2. Alright, so the other thing that we're going to see here in just a second, you can already see from the purple glow down here, is that something interesting lurks over here, and it is Crypto Verde, the first boss monster that we've encountered. You can see he has a few different things. It's going to go over the boss fight encounters right now. Each boss has multiple levels or stages. The more levels a boss has, the more rewards he drops. And before each life, the boss is immune. He's preparing for a special attack, which can't be stopped. Which, like I said, that's gonna come into play later. Like, we can't attack him right here. Might be able to poison him. Okay, so his second stage, he actually summoned a bunch of skeletons, which I managed to poison a few. Don't necessarily need to kill all the ads here. So he's dead, and we got a few things. Level up, which is good. We got 2 potion charges, which is very nice, because that saves us money from the town, and I guess I should pick up that card. That is Mighty Blow, one of the first things that we saw in the tutorial, or not the tutorial, but just the introduction to Warrior screen. So this is one of our signature abilities. Stun chance 25% can be used at range, has a cooldown of 3 seconds. Very useful, especially for tagging some especially annoying enemies that you might not otherwise be able to hit in time. We'll see that come into play more as this series progresses, but for now, that's it through our first dungeon. Floor officially complete. Alright, so a thing that's a little bit confusing, and I've already left feedback on it. We have the go down option or the return to town option. Going down just means complete this section. So let's go ahead and hit that. It's a little unclear because it makes it seem like, okay, you want to just keep going. I'm still rank 1. Right now you get avatars, which don't mean too much. I mean, stars are not implemented in the game, even though there's achievements for it. And we defeated skeletons and haven't died. So you get these little things, these little flexoscope results. We'll talk about that, I guess, in the next video, because we're going to be going through a few more introductions here. But we have 1 unspent level up point. Let's go to town. Alright, so I can level up here. I forgot to level up before. I'm just going to keep doing that. We have some new characters to meet and some new dialogue options to get. So let's meet this person.
Greetings, traveler. People call me the fortune teller. I'm pleased to see there are souls courageous enough to visit a place like this and stay. In truth, I came here recently myself, as I had to leave the royal capital. I am certain you have already heard about me and my excellent skills from the lovely barmaid I'm tutoring. Believe me when I say you will find my craft most useful in your adventures. Feel free to talk to me should you need any assistance. The townsfolk are good but simple people and know little about the arcane. That sage may be an exception, but his wit, not to mention his social skills, are clearly dulled by age. We're all lucky that cranky old men tend to be harmless. Magical cards are my specialty. They represent a novel approach to magic, offering a superior alternative to clunky weaponry and verbose spellcasting.
So this is telling us a little bit about some of the actual mechanics in the game. Like, we have magic cards here. We can pay, let's see here, 100 gold to charge this card. It has 3 charges out of 4. I'm not going to pay for that right now because we're going to need that gold for later. There's other things that she can do, such as rune craft and everything. So all these people are going to be pretty important. So we'll have a few things to hear from the townsfolk as well.
Few living souls venture into the depths under the cathedral, as this is the realm where the dead rest.
In here, like I said, some of these things I will let them go over and talk, and other things.
I've been busy too while you were away.
So this
the
is her
fortune teller is
talking
teaching
about
me her
the
craft.
cauldron as well. So the magic cauldron, we're not going to do this yet, but anytime that you collect a prize from this, which is not just these mana crystals, so you can essentially buy some of your level up stuff that you didn't choose. Anytime you get these, the cost goes up quite a bit. So 500, we can't even really afford to do anything with that right now. So looking at the time and where we are with our character development, it looks like we have time to do one more dungeon. So let's go ahead and just dive into that so you can see some of the less scripted gameplay. We still have one person in town that might want to talk to us. Probably her, but we don't have any, we are not going to be charging our potion. So if we begin game, we have, and this is one of the things that I do think is pretty neat on it. The Flexoscope is now available. You can choose the size of the game you want to play. So we can do very small 2 floors, smaller 3 floors. Eventually you can do things that are more, the longer the dungeon you pick, the more progress you get, the more rewards you get. And essentially you can kind of pick and choose how long of gameplay you want to do. So we're going to do a small dungeon that should give us enough time and hopefully unlock medium as well, which is kind of the bread and butter for what I've been playing so far. So we have a few new enemies to introduce. Let's go ahead and dive in. Alright, so you'll see right away we have our poison explodey zombies here, which a little thing that they have is just to keep in mind is that if you have a poison enemy that's near another poison enemy, you gotta kill them at the same time because the poison actually heals the other one. And I think we actually got our first unidentified card, so we can spend 1,000 to go to the sage to get that identified. Alright, let's see if we can motor on through. Alright, so like I said, these guys over here, let's see if I can get it. I'm killing them too quickly. So we have our exit right here already. And we have a new enemy, gargoyles. They have stone hearts. They're immune to poison, fire, and ice. And if they turn back into a statue, they heal over time. I haven't really been using Mighty Blow very much yet. So let's figure that out. See if we can get a good encounter for it. Right now it's telling us we don't need to use it on anything, but like, we have a boss, Lester Crippor. That's lovely. Alright, so Mighty Blow. And not so Mighty Blow. So he's going to change into something else, and we have another mechanic to consider, and this is one of the ones that sort of starts to put some wrinkles in the game that you might otherwise be unfamiliar with. Some soldiers are protected by armor. You actually have to click the shield icon on them to do damage to them. So let's go ahead and get this guy over here. That doesn't have any AoE ability, but we did kill him. We only had 3 levels. And these guys are not immune to poison. Oh, well, first off, we actually killed those guys. You may remember that anytime you level up, you do 1 additional damage. So let's go ahead. I clicked on the level up, I thought. Yeah. Clicked on it somewhere. Let's get something down. We're going to need it in a little bit, assuming that unidentified card is what it could be. There's not too many things you'll get in the very early stages, but enchantments and things like that, which are some of the abilities you can get off of cards, are kind of similar to, I forget if Diablo does it, but the way Path of Exile does it, where it will reserve some of your mana pool to have them equipped, so you have to click. And it's very strict on if you're clicking on the shield or not, which can get to be an issue later on in the game when things get a lot more crowded and a lot less simple. So see Mighty Blow. I like the little destroy everything around here. So we killed some zombies, we get an achievement. More things to get over here. I like mousing over for gold. That's pretty satisfying. And this level's clear. Might as well drink from the happy fountain. But once again, there's like, if there's fast travel, I haven't really seen it yet, so we do get to stay on rails and just hoppity hop all the way home. But we are still progressing pretty well. So let's go to the next floor. On this floor, we shall find even more enemies. So let's just hop, skip, get a gargoyle flying at us right away. Note that they are not all the same strength. Let's see where that is. Was enough to take him down. So yeah, the like I said before, the progression for oh, excuse me. Oh great. I thought I had gotten over that cough. The progression for this is very similar. Let's see what that is. Oh yeah, ingredients found in the cauldron are placed and transformed into prizes. Every time you turn a level point into a heart or mana, point goes in the type of cauldron, or the opposite type goes in the cauldron. To collect the contents of the cauldron, talk to the barmaid. But if you die, you lose prizes. So mana and health are preserved. You can go in there. So I picked up a prize that was a chalice of some kind. You're fail. I'll save that health pool for just a minute. But you can see we're starting to deal with some skeletal archers, and this is where we're starting to see things play out on a slightly different scale, because now we're stuck on rails, and there's some ways that you can kite in this game, but it becomes a little bit more difficult. And some of it could just be I've got to get some more game skills or a better mouse or something, but I had a few points that I was starting to make here, but we had one, which was that the cauldrons, you go to the barmaid, you can get some of those other things back for leveling up, which is pretty good because your life numbers stay pretty slow, or pretty low. So here's the other things that we have a nice little pentagram pit of despair. That's let's see what you got. Another potion charge. Okay. And there's another thing that starts to become an issue just a little bit, is that I have just surrounded myself because I accidentally clicked the wrong one. So let's go ahead and get there. Targeting something that definitely I need to work on a little bit. There we go. Don't need to drink anything yet. There is no hardcore mode in this game just yet. So I imagine that'll come before too long. It's something I've seen the developers say they want to do. So I don't see why they won't. There's another treasure chest. And in that treasure chest is another card. And it is Blood Armor. Recover hearts lost in battle. Let's go ahead and equip it. Oh, we can't equip it. We've got enough mana. See, this is what I'm talking about. Cost 5 to use. Right now we have 1 of 7, so we need to restore our mana, which means we'll probably need to go to the healer. Because mana doesn't really regenerate over time. Unless you have certain items that facilitate that. So we're going to be doing this whole boss fight with clicks, or we can just gain a level. That's totally fine too. Alright. So see, there's a hotkey for this which doesn't function right now. So let's go ahead and level up. And by the way, shifting through menus is all real time, so you can die looking in menus. It's not recommended. I think you just friendly fire yourself. So Mighty Blow for some of the damage. You can see he's going to the next phase, and maybe we'll see a different style of phase here. Sometimes you'll summon ads and you have to actually kill the ads. You can see some hearts dropping on the ground that you actually, to collect them, you have to mouse over them as well. So collecting anything in this game is pretty much by mousing. Alright, so that's pretty good. Got some prizes, which is not great, but we can always mess with that later. And I think that is mostly going to do it for this floor. So, I missed a little bit of gold down here. We can get our little golden footprints eventually. Some people who play this game are going to be very OCD and be like, I have to get golden footprints on every floor. Have to. But let's go to the next one. Last floor. So already we have one shield dude. And another little gargoyle. So like I said, it starts out pretty slow paced. Trust me though, the pace is going to pick up. Once again, it's a lot like the Diablo series in that way, where you may get overconfident early and then the wrong thing comes up and you have yourself a lovely time here. So you'll notice here, this is one of the first things I'm talking about in terms of issues with being on rails right now. Is that we have, oh, I actually got the sun off, is that we are currently stuck in his line of fire. So we gotta break that shield again. Alright. We don't have the mana to actually do the other thing, but at least we can recover things. Should be able to take it out. So you can get... Oh, what's attacking me? Nothing's attacking me. Archer's attacking me. Alright. So permanent 1 mana increase. We have even more new enemies here. Like little swine that explode in poisonous clouds. That's fun. So level up. Didn't do any relevant damage to people, but that saved our healing build just a little bit. But yeah, since we're at the end of the dungeon, I can start to give my breakdown, I think, just a little bit more. So we got another unidentified card. We can identify that before we end the video. But yeah, this is, here we go, level clear. Drink from the fountain just because. And that's it. We can go down again, but we have made some progress towards the depths below. So we're done. We can go deeper. So this is Book of Demons, at least so far. Like I said, this is early access. There are plenty of things that are subject to change. Look, we got an avatar from the Archive of Awesome. These avatars don't do anything. I could share them on Facebook, but why? So, okay, we can always change that later. So we got a few more achievements, a few more things. No stars yet. But there's a lot of things that we can do in town. So let's go ahead and go to town briefly, and I'm going to wrap this up. I just want to get the a few of the cards identified. The healer may come out to play eventually. I guess he doesn't like the fact that we're just finishing off really well here. So let's just go ahead and identify cards, rare cards. He's talking
Animated
about
cadavers.
zombies. He's talking about things. Gargoyles. Like I said, I apologize for those of you who may want to see a little bit more. The focus of this is going to be a little bit more gameplay than every bit of lore. So we have 2 cards we can identify. One of them is one of my favorite abilities in the game, Shadow Sword, which grants an extra attack against an opponent at range, which we can't equip yet. But we can always unlock a card slot for 2 and kind of hold off on getting the other card for later. There's some options here, and you got to balance this out a little bit. So I am, in fact, going to go ahead and unlock this card slot just to show you what that is. And then you can throw another card in here. However, you can see right away that we only have so much mana, but if we level up our mana one more time, we can equip both, and suddenly we can't use Mighty Blow. So there's a little bit of balancing act that you need to do. There's other cards that are available in the game, but like I said, it is an interesting mix of a lot of things. And as I play more, like I said, we're going to talk about, because since it is very close tracking to Diablo I, the question I am unfortunately going to be posing on it is, how does it compare to Diablo I, as well as how does it stand up on a game as its own? I think those are 2 fair things to see. But like I said, Book of Demons is on early access at the time of this video and is available for you to play. 1 class is unlocked right now. I'm enjoying it so far, but there's definitely some things I want to see and figure out more as I play more. So we'll be doing that some together on this channel. If you have any thoughts or comments, feel free to let me know. Thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more, and it's good to play some things that are kind of off the beaten path for me. It's nice to do that. It's been a while. So this is Asher. Thanks for watching. We'll do this again soon.